Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series and is intended to aid the Dreamcast and gaming community.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and this video is going to be about how to play imports on a Sega Dreamcast. And I realize this video, I probably should have done it like 4 years ago, but oops, my bad. But yeah, now you guys, a bunch of you asked me to do this. I don't know why, and every once in a while it's just more people keep asking, and I don't know why, because I would think by now this information wouldn't be that hard to find, but I was willing to do it. So, alright, you want to play imports on your Dreamcast. Now, if you're not aware, the Dreamcast is not region-free, meaning there's three primary regions. There's Japan, there's North America, and there's Europe. So if you want to play, say, Japanese games on an American console, you can't just, pop it in and have it work. For example, this game is Chaos Field, Japanese game. If I stick it in this American console, I'll go ahead and I'll show it to you. I'll prove it to you. I'll put it in right now, and if you turn it on, we'll try to skip past this. Do you guys like this, how this is set up like this? Do you think that's cool? If you try to do that, it'll sound like it's going to work because it's reading the disc, but it will get to a point where it can't do it. Yeah, see? It will not be able to read this because it detects that the region code is incorrect. So that makes it a problem, right? So we want to get around that problem, obviously. And there are multiple ways to do that. And I'm going to acknowledge some of the ones that exist, even though we're not going to do them. And then we're going to get to ultimately my favorite method. So, but before I acknowledge those, I will say, be happy if you're into playing imports, because the method I'm about to show you will work on every single Dreamcast, whatever it is. If it's an American one, European one, Japanese one, Model 1, Model 2, Model 0, a fucking Divers 2000. Doesn't matter what it is, this method will work. And unless it's a development kit, but those are already region free, so that doesn't matter. So, before we get into that, let's acknowledge the other ones you could do if you are so inclined. First up, you could put a mod chip in it and just strip away the region coding. That would obviously require opening up the console and having the parts and knowledge to do that. I don't have that. The second one is you can change the BIOS to a dev kit BIOS. Like I said, those are region free. And that will make the console essentially region-free. It's not totally perfect. There are some games that do not work for some reason, but it basically works. I have two of those. I was given those by kudos to, I got those from guys, I should say, is more accurate. Shout out to Justin and to Mark for hooking me up with those. But that method, again, requires modification, and we don't want to mod. We want to just be able to play it without modifying a console, right? Good, because we can do that. There's a few options. First up is one called Game Shark. Basically all the rest of the options include just a boot disk. You pop this in, and you get to a certain point, and then you take the disk out and you replace it with your import. That's basically how these all work. But they all have some sort of limitation or issue. So like I said, Game Shark, its limitation is that it requires a proprietary memory card, which I actually don't have out here at the moment, to be plugged into the controller. And to see, I find that problematic because you either put it in this controller and you take up that space so you don't use your rumble pack or jump pack, or you have to have a second controller plugged in and just have it away from the console but keep the memory card in there. If you do that, you can put in the disc, it will boot up and it'll say like, hey, do you want to start this game? You say yes, and bam, you're playing your import. Great. The method is just clunky because you have to have that extra piece of hardware or even an extra controller. Or if you feel like, hey, once I do it, I'll just unplug the controller and blah, blah, blah. Don't do that, because the Dreamcast is very susceptible to having a fuse on its board pop if you do that, which will brick the ability to read controllers without repair. So never plug in or remove a controller while the Dreamcast is on. It's a very bad idea. So yeah, that's why I don't like this one, just because it's clunky, but it gets the job done. Second up is Game Shark Lite. Obviously works very similar. This one's advantage is that it does not require any sort of proprietary card, which is very nice. But the issue with this one is, unlike Game Shark CDX, which doesn't make you do anything other than just say start the game, this one actually makes you find and select a cheat code and activate it and save it, even if it's not the same game you're trying to play, and forces you to do that before it'll be able to read any sort of import. If you don't do that, it'll just reset back to the main screen and not work. So I find that extra step to be stupid and unnecessary when there's superior options out there. One such superior option is cheats and codes. This would actually be my second choice. Again, works the same way, pop it in, you can start the game. Does not require a proprietary memory card. Does not require you to find some sort of game and save it and start it that way. Sounds great, right? There's only one flaw with it, which I will address when we get to the perfect option, but this would be a very good second choice. There's a couple other I'm going to acknowledge because I know some people use them and I facepalm every time they do. First up is Utopia Boot Disk. Utopia Boot Disk should never be used to play imports. It was designed as an app by the Dreamcast scene back in like 2001, maybe even 2000, to allow you to play burned games on the console before they were even able to play, before they were able to be self-boot. People use it to play imports, and that baffles me because it has very poor compatibility, and of the games it does run, it tends to run them very buggy, so I don't know why anyone would ever use it, but it's an option. Next up is one called DCX. People love this one, and I do not know why. I think the reason they like it is because you put it in, you don't have to press anything. It's just a blue screen with a picture of the Dreamcast, and it has like a picture of the, the lid, and it says like, open, and then you put in your game, close, and it's supposed to run it. That's why I think people like it. The problem with it, the thing that makes it the worst one of them all is that it disables VGA support. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this down here, but this is the Hanzo. I did a video on this recently. This is the best Dreamcast VGA box that exists. And what that means is it's the best way to get video quality out of the Dreamcast. It looks phenomenal. But DCX goes out of its way to disable that. Not only is that disc not able to read or able to function with VGA, even if you put in a VGA compatible game after that disc is in there, it keeps it disabled, which is stupid. So I would never recommend using that ever. So what is the ideal method? This is Codebreaker. Now I'll be the first to admit it. I'll acknowledge the elephant in the room. This is a burned disc. Yes, I realize that's somewhat hypocritical because I obviously have a massive Dreamcast collection, and I assure you this is pretty much the only thing there that is burned. And I also always say never play burned Dreamcast games. So I get it. I understand why you're probably like, fuck you. I get it. But at the same time, I invite you to go buy this. It's like a $90 to $150 disc. Still think little of me? Yeah, it's not worth buying. It's just too expensive. And all it really does is it's a cheat device that it can also boot games. That's really all it does. And that's why I don't have a problem pirating it, even though I do not approve of piracy. In this one instance, I'll let it go because, first of all, Pelican, which is the company that made it, is not seeing any of the money from eBay. Only eBay sellers are. And second, it's not like a game that you keep playing it and it's going to wear down the console. It's got to boot it for a few seconds and then it's done. So I give it a pass. So what you do is, and I have it burned on a mini disc, which I think is pretty neat. You go ahead and you power that up. Now we're going to go ahead and skip past the little menu here. If we can. There we go. Now it reads very simple. Now, of course, I will actually include a link in the description so you can all be hypocrites with me. A link to download this, and you'll have to learn how to burn it yourself. Windows XP is recommended, and I realize that that's a very weird thing to say in 2014. As I told you, I should have done this video 4 years ago. But you can do it through more modern operating systems. It's just more difficult. But anyway, so you get to this screen where you'll press A, and then you'll see this screen. Now the top thing says Start Game, so you go ahead and push that. And yep, then it says please open to get the disc out. So you go ahead and take it out, and then you put in your import. Again, depending on what you want, whatever region it is, it's pointless to do if it's your own region, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put in a European game, because this is an American console. The one I've got selected is a game called Evil Twin. You go ahead and put that in, and it's just as simple as that. It's going to boot it all on its own. You don't have to do anything at that point other than, put your Codebreaker disc away, which is obviously very simple. And there you go. That is it. It essentially kind of resets the console a little bit, and bam, it just bypasses the region coding. Now you're probably thinking like, okay, you said cheats and codes works very similarly. Why is Codebreaker better? Codebreaker is better for one amazing reason. If you saw that Hanzo video I talked about, you heard me say that most Dreamcast games support VGA, but there are a few that do not. And of that few that do not, a good percentage of those can actually be forced to use VGA. Now the Hanzo is able to do that with clicking a switch at the right time. Codebreaker, on the other hand, actually will try to do that for you without any sort of hardware involved. Meaning, if this game, Evil Twin, had not supported VGA, I could have put this in, then put this in. Not only would it have bypassed the region coding, but it would have forced it to display in VGA. Again, it has to be a game that supports that, but I think that's a great additional feature that no one ever talks about. So there you go. I want to address, before I conclude here, I want to address a couple other things people always have to ask about playing imports and stuff. As I said before, this will work on everything. Across the board, total compatibility, whatever region console you've got, whatever region game you want to play, this will work. But when it comes to accessories, people always ask, like, can I use, you know, do I have to use a Japanese controller on the American console to play the Japanese game? Do I have to use this region's light gun to play that region's game, etc., etc.? Every single accessory will work on every single region with every single game. The only exception is the European and Japanese official Sega light gun will not work with the American version of House of the Dead 2. It's the one exception. Everything else works. So don't fret about that. Whatever accessory you're interested in, it's going to work, except for that one thing. Now, that's actually, by the way, that's not a limitation of the hardware. That's actually the American copy of House of the Dead 2 specifically blocking out the official Sega controller. It's very bizarre. But other than that, they all work. The other thing people ask about is the saving. You know, because there are certain consoles, I think like the GameCube is one of them, where if you have a save from one region, like the American, if you save an American file on there, you can't put on a European save or a Japanese save, or it will corrupt the card and reformat it. That is not the case with the Dreamcast. You can save an American, Japanese, European, independent. You can put them all on the same card. It will not do anything stupid. It will not fuck anything up. You'll be all set. You'll be great. The only thing I would not recommend doing is if you have the same game from two different regions, you do not want to save on there at the same times. Meaning, like I have, you know, the American version of Shenmue, and I have the European version of Shenmue. If I was to save one, I would be really stupid to try and save the other one onto the exact same card. It would likely corrupt stuff. Other than that, you're all set, man. This will get everything working. It's really simple to do. I've even provided the link for you. Now go forth and enjoy playing your imports on your Sega Dreamcast. I hope it was helpful to you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.